Okay, today is January 26, 2012. We're working on our exam review. This is question number 6 from the review. Okay. Question number 6. The key to this is you're trying to solve for x. Okay? Now, when doing this, we need to look at our two numbers on each side of the equation. What I want is to have two exponents with the same base. Okay? Right now I have a base 2 on the left side and a base 8 on the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to manipulate the right side of this equation so that we can turn the base into 2, and that way we can probably just work with the exponents after that. So, very first thing, on the left side of the equation I don't have a fraction, on the right side I do. I want to change this from a fraction to a whole number. Okay? Now technically 8 is to the power of 1. How can I change that exponent so that it's no longer a fraction on the right side? How can I change the exponent on this 8 so that it's no longer a fraction on the right side? What would I do to that exponent? I want you guys to look at this rule here. Yes. If we make it a negative exponent, remember a negative exponent will flip a fraction. Okay? So imagine, you can also rewrite this way. This is an entire fraction to the power of 1. Okay? If I want to flip that fraction, so it's 8 over 1, I put it to the power of negative 1. Okay? So now we're to the power of negative 1, 2x plus 2 on this side. Now, 8 divided by 1, do I need to put that 1 under there? No. It's really just 8 to the power of negative 1 is equal to 2x plus 2. Okay, this is good. We're no longer with fractions. Remember I told you my goal here is to try to make the bases of both exponents the same. So I have a 2 on this side. This is the tricky part. The 8. I want to represent the number 8 as a base 2 to an exponent. So in other words, I want something like this. 2 to the power of something is equal to 8. I'm going to replace that number. Anyone know 2 to what exponent equals 8, Shahil? 3, that's right. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to replace the number 8 with 2 to the power of 3. Okay? That negative 1 exponent still stays there. So we now have, and I'll write this part in red, 2 to the power of negative 3. We've replaced 8 with that number. To the power of negative 1. 2x plus 2. Oh, sorry. Good eye. Just positive 3. I was thinking of the negative 1 before I even wrote it. Okay. And finally, we're almost identical in terms of our bases. The only difference right now is I have a power of a power. How can I simplify that power of a power? Yes, we use our power of a power rule, and we're just going to multiply those two exponents. So we're going to end up with 2 to the power of 3 times negative 1, 2x plus 2. What is 3 times negative 1? Anyone know? Negative 3. So now we have 2x plus 2 is equal to 2 to the power of negative 3. So this is what I was trying to do. My exponents' bases are both the exact same. So I can essentially drop them out of this question. Okay? Because what I really need to solve for is that x. So now this equation is going to read x plus 2 is equal to negative 3. Once I had the same base of both exponents, I could drop them both and just work with the exponents. Okay, so we moved right into just working with the exponents. So I'm going to highlight that part for you. Okay, so I want you guys to notice we're just focusing on those. And then this comes down to just straight algebra. I need to isolate x, so what do I do that to? And what does it become over there? Negative 2. What is x going to equal? X is equal to negative 5. Now, this could be done in a lot less steps. You can do this much quicker, but I made sure to write down everything so you guys saw the process. It says Isabella has a bi-weekly net income of $1,625. So right off the start, let's start highlighting important information. She has an income of $1,625. Okay. Her monthly expenses not related to housing are $1,200. So already she has expenses that are $1,200. She also has a savings of $25,500. Okay. She's considering 2 housing options. So it says she had expenses of $1,200, not including housing. So right off the bat, this is what we're going to start with. Because she's going to have 2 options, we're going to split this into 2 options. Okay. Now, in the first one, we'll do green for income. So in both cases, she has $1,625 of income. So this is how much money she makes. It doesn't seem that she has any other sources of income yet so far. It then says she has expenses besides her housing expenses of $1,200. So already we have to take away $1,200 from the amount of money she's going to have every month. When we take this away, she's left with positive, so we'll keep it in green again. 5, 2, 4. $425. Is that right? Oh, wait. I knew that didn't make sense. Very important. It said here that she had a bi-weekly income of $1,625 and that her monthly expenses were $1,200. So, bi-weekly, how many times does she get paid $1,625 a month? If it's bi-weekly. Weekly would be 4, 2. Okay? So her income is actually twice this amount. Okay? She's getting paid that much twice a year. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move over that expense again. So we can figure out her actual total income at the end of the month. So $1,625 times 2 gives us $3,250. So her monthly income is $3,250. Because it's bi-weekly, it says. So she gets paid that much twice a month. Now when we subtract, this will be how much profit or money she has left over. We have $2,050. Okay? So every month, besides her other expenses, she has $2,050 to work with. Now, this is where we get into the tough part. Option 1 and option 2 for her housing. She's considering housing options. In the first housing option, it says she's renting a bedroom apartment for $1,600, including all utilities. So we're going to call that housing option 1. This will be this side. Renting is going to cost her $1,600. Okay? So again, we're going to have to take that away from the amount of money she'll have. That'll be option 1. And in option 2, it says she plans on buying a bedroom condo with a down payment of $22,500. So she has to be able to put that much money down. And monthly mortgage payments, so every month, of $1,600. And a monthly condo fee of $450. So she has quite a few fees monthly here. Okay? So she'll also be paying a mortgage payment of $1,600. Okay? So far these seem to be relatively identical. She'll still be in the green. She'll still have profit here. This looks like $450. Is that right? No. Oh, yes it is. Okay, good. $450. And then in the second option, It says she had monthly condo fees of how much? $450 already. Another $450. Okay? So, on the right side, she's already broke. She'll have exactly no money. She's not losing money though, so we'll keep it green. She has no money right now. Now, in order to make that down payment, did she have enough savings to make that down payment? She had $25,000 in savings. The down payment needed to be $22,500. So she could afford the down payment. And right now, with her monthly fees, she's sitting at zero. So she's okay. She could just live like that, never saving any more money. Not a great way to live, but technically she can afford it. Let's go to the very end. Suppose Isabel wants to be able to give her son an allowance of $550 a month. That is amazing. Okay? Isabel will only use her savings for the down payment if she chooses option 2. So, what that means is she does not use her savings for anything in option 1. She wants to keep those savings. But option 2, she only uses it for the down payment. She does not want to dip into it monthly. Okay? So, will she have enough money? Well, she now all of a sudden has to pay her greedy child $550 a month. That is unbelievable as an allowance.
What did he do?
I might have got that a year. So, in option 1, she'll now have negative $100 a month. And option 2, she'll have negative $550 a month. Can Isabel afford either of these options? No, she cannot afford either option. So, which option can Isabel afford? D, neither option. Yvonne owns a townhouse which is subdivided into 2 apartments. Her mortgage payments, it says her mortgage payments are $1,331.06 a month. Okay, so this is again an expense of hers. She has to pay $1,331.06 a month. Okay, it's important we figure out when she makes these payments, what the time frame is. Her other fixed costs, so that means costs that will not change, are $155.58 for home insurance 4 times a year. Okay, so she pays $155.58 4 times a year is quarterly. Or every how many months? Anyone know? Or every 3 months. Okay? It also says she pays $2,008.24 in property tax once a year. $2,008.24 a year. Yvonne wants to live in one apartment and rent the other apartment to cover half of her fixed housing costs. How much should she charge for rent? So she wants to charge the person, what would it cost? Half of her fixed, say monthly? Half of her fixed housing costs. Okay, so how much should she charge a month? So, first off, she wants half of this. That's an important part of this question. We are going to have to figure out, we're going to have to change everything into a set time frame. Right now we're working with monthly, quarterly, and yearly. Okay? We can break this into monthly, or we can change this into yearly and then work back to monthly. Personally, I think it'll be a little easier if we do a little extra work and change it into yearly. So what that means is, first of all, if she pays $1,331.06 a month, what do I have to multiply that by to figure out how much she pays yearly? 12. So her yearly expense for this one, okay, thank you, $15,072.72. Okay, so that's her yearly expense there. If she pays $155.58 quarterly, what do I have to multiply this by to make it a yearly expense? 4. That's right. 0.32. Okay, and this will be our other blue one. So yearly, let's figure out what her expenses are. Again, we'll put them back in red. Her yearly expenses are $15,972.72 in mortgages. She pays $622.32 in, what is this one? Home insurance. And she pays $2,008.24 in property tax a year. So every year, how much money does she spend in total per year? What is it, Matthew? 18,000? So her yearly fixed costs for housing are $18,603.28 once we've added those all up together. Now she wants to rent her apartment for half this cost. When people pay rent, they pay it on a monthly basis. Okay? So, to figure out how much she pays a month, what would we do to this number? Yes, we need to divide this by 12 to figure out what her monthly expenses would be. These are our average monthly expenses. So when we divide this by 12, her monthly housing costs are $1,550.27. We go back up to the top. That is an option. But remember, she only wanted to charge half of this. So we need to divide that number again by 2. Which will give us $775.14. So she needs to charge $775.14, which is option B in this question. Definitely should put it for an option, seeing if you read the question. Question 11 says the dimensions of 2 rectangular prisms. So already they've given us the shapes. Make sure we highlight that information. There's 2 of them with the same volume. Okay, they both have the volume of 2,430 centimeters cubed are given. Predict which has less surface area and determine its surface area. So we got to predict which will have the least of the 2 and then determine what it actually is. Now, you could look at this quickly, and if you know the rule, you can just find the surface area for the 1. But say you're someone who doesn't know the rule, you have to do a little more work. I highly suggest you do it for the 2 instead of just guessing one of them. So what we'll do is we'll do both of them, and then I will tell you the rule that would have allowed us to do a lot less work on this question. So 2 rectangular prisms. I'm going to draw diagrams of both of them. So prism A. We're going to call this one prism A. One of the lengths is 30 centimeters. We'll call that the tallest one here. The other 2 lengths are 9 centimeters and again 9 centimeters. Okay? If that looks confusing to you, we'll move this measurement over here. That's what we're referring to. Okay? And the other prism, prism B, actually we'll do it in a different color, just so we don't get confused. Prism B, we have 15 centimeters by 9 centimeters by 18 centimeters. Okay? So, they've already told us that the volume is going to add up, or sorry, multiply to 2,430 centimeters cubed. So we don't have to find the volume of this shape. We do need to find the surface areas though. Okay? Now, surface area, we're going to go over this quickly, of the first shape. We're going to try to determine how many similar sides there are. First of all, the top and the bottom of prism A And I guess we could make a dotted line in the back there. All right, so the top face and the bottom face, which we're going to put down here, have the same measurements. They're both 9 by 9. Surface area refers to the area of all the faces of this prism. So I'm going to actually draw a small net of this, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of the faces and look at them separately. Okay, so this is for prism A. These are both 9 by 9. I know that one's not great. 9 by 9. That's both of those faces. So how do I find the area of one of these faces? Yes, I do the length times the width, which is 9 times 9. So the area of one of those faces is how much? 99. Not quite. 81. 81. Good. 9 by 9. 81 centimeters squared. And because there's two of them, we're going to multiply it by 2. It's going to give us 162 centimeters squared. So we found the area of the top two faces. Okay? Now the next faces, I want you to realize, they're all 30 in terms of height. And their widths are actually the same because the bottom face is the same. So all of the other faces have the same dimensions also. Okay, so we'll color them all green. Get this to catch up. Okay, these faces all have the same length. They're all going to be 30 by 9. How many faces are going to be like that? 4 of them. Okay, so the area of the other faces, both going to be length times width. On those ones, I'll do one example for this. We have 30 by 9, and there's going to be 4 of them. Okay? So 9 times 30 is going to give us 270 centimeters squared. And because there are 4 of those, we multiply by 4, 0, 8, 2, 1,080 centimeters squared. Okay? So we have the top 2 faces and the other 4 sides. That's 6 sides of this prism. The first prism is going to have a total surface area. We have to add these together of 1,080 plus 162. Total surface area of 2, 4. No, that's a 2. So 1,242. 1,242 centimeters squared. 1,242 centimeters squared. So that's the area of prism A, or sorry, the surface area of prism A. Prism B is a little different, okay? When we go to look at this, it's actually, obviously it's going to have pairings because it is a prism, okay? Again, the top face and the bottom face will be the same, okay? Now the 2 on the left and the right will also be the same. So we'll kind of try to cover those 2. And then finally, the front and back are going to be 2 different ones, which will also be the same. We'll color them semi-red, okay? So the idea of this is we have 3 pairs of faces that are the same. Now I know it looks very messy, but we're going to try to make this a little cleaner on the next page. So even though this prism isn't really drawn to scale because this face looks like it has 2 sides that are the same length, they aren't by the numbers. This one is 9 across the bottom and 15 across here. I should have drawn it a little taller. I apologize. So let's deal with the first faces, the top and the bottom faces. I'm going to draw a little net of both of them. What are the measurements of the top and bottom face? The length and the width are what? Let's just talk about the bottom face. This would be the width, this would be the length. What is it? 9 by what? Okay, 9 by 18. So there are 2 faces with that measurement. We'll find the area of that. Area is length by width. So we get 9 times 18, which will give us 162 centimeters squared, is that right? Okay. Now there are two faces like that, so again we multiply it by 2. We get 324 centimeters squared for the top and the bottom face. Okay. Now let's talk about those side faces. The side faces, the ones we highlighted green to start, make them a little different in terms of their length and width. The side faces, here's the height and here's the length. So it's going to be 18 by what? What's the height here? 15. Good. So it's going to be 18 by 15. Good. 18 by 15. We'll find the area of those two. Area equals length times width, which is 18 by 15. That's what I'm going to need you guys to do here. 18 by...
270.
Oh. So what's the first one?
270.
270, thank you. 270 centimeters squared. And then again, there's two of those faces. So we get, great, 540 centimeters squared. That's two of the faces. Finally, the last face, the front and the back, the ones I colored in red almost. We'll draw a net of them also. Okay, let's talk about those two faces. There's the length and the height. What is the length of this? Good, you can read. And the height?
15.
Good, 9 and 15. Okay, so that is the three different pairs. See how each of them have different measurements. And let's find out this one. Area is equal to length times width, which is 9 by 15. 135 centimeters squared. There are two of those. So we get 270 centimeters squared. So the numbers that are important for us now are this number, and this number in terms of surface area. We found the pairs, the areas of all of the pairs, and we're going to add them together. So the surface area is 270 plus 540 plus, what was the top one we had?
324.
Plus 324, all centimeters squared. The total surface area of this is what? 1134 centimeters squared. Let's compare it to the other page. So, which of these had a surface area that was less?
B.
B had the one that had a smaller surface area.